Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that goes deep into the sources, pulls out the key insights, and basically gives you a shortcut to understanding complex topics. Today, we're tackling something huge, AI and automation. It's everywhere, isn't it? Changing how we work, from factories to, well, even freelance gigs. So our mission here is to sift through some core texts on machine learning, expert interviews, that kind of thing. We want to figure out how jobs are really changing, and crucially, what skills you need to stay ahead.
Exactly. And the sources we've looked at, they paint a really interesting picture. It's multifaceted. There's excitement about what AI can do for sure. But there's also a very realistic look at, its limits and the big societal questions, especially around jobs. It's a lot to unpack.
Okay, let's dive in then. To really get how AI is reshaping work, we got to understand the tech driving it, right? And that really starts with machine learning, ML. It's different from old school programming. Instead of a human writing every single instruction, these algorithms kind of learn from data. They figure things out themselves.
hmm They essentially program themselves, finding patterns, making predictions. It makes that old saying, computers only do what they're programmed to do, well, less and less true.
Yeah, that's a huge shift.
And within ML, the thing that's really powering a lot of the recent breakthroughs, image recognition, translation, AlphaGo beating Go champions, that's deep learning. It uses these things called deep neural networks, software that's kind of loosely modeled on how neurons are layered in the brain.
So like layers processing information.
Exactly. Takes an input, say pixels from a photo, calculates values through these layers, and spits out a prediction, like that's a cat.
Right, so the key thing is these algorithms get really good at spotting patterns and making predictions if you give them enough data. They learn to predict correctly the labels of new, previously unseen examples. And that predictive power, that's what makes automation possible on such a big scale.
Definitely. And a lot of that success currently comes from what's called supervised learning. You feed it tons of examples that are already labeled, like, here are 10,000 pictures labeled boat, 10,000 labeled Dalmatian. It learns the patterns.
Okay, but what about learning without all those labels?
Ah, that's the dream. Sort of. Unsupervised learning. Getting AI to learn from raw, unlabeled data. It's seen as a huge frontier, but it's much, much harder. Still a major challenge.
Okay, so we've got these powerful learning machines. Now, the big question, the one everyone's asking, what does this actually mean for jobs, for our jobs? Are the robots coming for everything?
Well, if you look at what the experts are saying, it's not a simple yes or no. It's way more nuanced. The consensus is really that jobs are changing. Some are definitely being lost, some new ones are appearing, and a whole lot are just being transformed.
Okay, so let's break that down. Which jobs are most at risk?
Stuart Russell has a pretty blunt take on this. He points out that lots of jobs that have been around for ages are just repetitive, where humans are basically exchangeable. He says if you hire people by the hundred or by the thousand to do a specific task over and over again, those jobs are likely susceptible because basically we are using humans as robots in those cases.
Wow, using humans as robots. Yeah. So anything routine and repeatable.
Pretty much. James Manika echoes this. He says activities like data collection, data analysis, or physical work in a highly structured environment, think assembly lines, maybe some data entry, those are prime candidates for automation.
And it doesn't matter if it was a high-paying job before.
Doesn't seem to. High wage, low wage, if it's structured and repeatable, it's potentially automatable. And this also connects to something Rodney Brooks and Manika call de-skilling.
De-skilling, what's that?
It's where the knowledge or judgment needed for a job gets kind of embedded in the technology. So the human task becomes simpler, requires less training. Think maybe complex customer support being broken down into following a script generated by AI. The system holds the knowledge, the human executes simpler steps.
Okay, so that's the streamlining, the automation side. Efficiency, yes, but also real disruption for some roles. What about the flip side? Are we actually seeing new jobs pop up? Or is it just jobs disappearing?
Oh, definitely not just disappearing. Ray Kurzweil and James Maniaka both make this point strongly. New job categories emerge all the time. Kurzweil uses the example of the app economy. It didn't exist, 15 years ago? Now it's huge. Manika estimates that maybe 8 or 9% of current jobs didn't even exist a decade or two ago.
Like what kind of new roles?
Well, we can speculate, right? Maybe AI trainers, robot maintenance specialists, ethicists for these systems, people designing how humans and AI work together. And Manika adds a really important economic point. Global labor supply growth is slowing down. So productivity growth driven largely by tech like AI becomes even more critical for economic prosperity over the next few decades.
So increased productivity can actually fuel overall growth and create demand elsewhere in the economy.
That's the idea. More wealth, more economic activity, which can lead to new job creation. It's not just about replacement. And Daniela Riss adds another angle. She talks about tech relieving us of routine work so we can focus on the more interesting, more human parts of our jobs.
Right, freeing us up.
Exactly. Her example is great. Physical therapists. Imagine AI-powered wheelchairs handling patient transport in a hospital. That's routine, takes time. It frees the therapist up to spend more time on actual patient care, the complex, empathetic stuff, using their expertise where it matters most.
Okay, so we've looked at the AI engine and now the impact on jobs. It's definitely not a simple picture of mass unemployment. It's more like a massive reshuffling.
In an evolution.
Right. Which brings us to maybe the most important question for everyone listening. Okay, things are changing. So what skills are actually going to be valuable? What makes us humans still essential in an AI world? What's future-proof?
Yeah, and thinking about what AI can't do well right now really shines a light on this. Its limitations point to our strengths. Andrew Ng and Yoshua Bengio, both huge names in deep learning, stress that its major limitation is needing massive amounts of labeled training data. Bengio says, we can't realistically label everything in the world.
So if there isn't a giant pre-labeled data set for something new or nuanced, AI struggles.
Big time. It needs those examples to learn from, which leads to another major gap. Common sense. Oren Etzioni, Jar Tenenbaum, Barbara Gross, they all point this out. AI just doesn't have that intuitive grasp of how the world works that we do.
Like the plant near the window example.
Exactly. Etzioni uses that one. We know more light equals faster growth. For AI to figure that out without explicit data linking light and growth rates, very hard. It lacks that basic causal reasoning. Barbara Gross says these systems are great at finding statistical patterns, but they don't go below the surface. They can't grasp the purpose behind things.
Like when someone says the printer's broken.
Precisely. We hear a request, fix it, or
Right.
help. AI might just register it as a statement of fact. It misses the intent, the context.
That's a really key difference. Understanding the why, not just the what.
And building on that, AI is also pretty weak at transfer learning, taking knowledge from one area and applying it somewhere else, even somewhere similar. And related to that, abstraction and making analogies like humans do.
So it can be brilliant at one specific thing, but can't generalize easily.
Right. Gary Marcus and Tenenbaum talk about this. Think about those Bongard problems visual puzzles where humans spot abstract concepts quickly from few examples. Top AI image systems, even with tons of training, barely did better than guessing.
Even though they're amazing at recognizing photos.
Yeah. Compare that to AlphaGo. Superhuman at Go, sure. But that was after playing millions of games against itself, and the rules were programmed in. Change the board size slightly, or ask it to play a different game, even a simple one like Breakout with a tiny change. It often fails completely without retraining from scratch. Its intelligence is incredibly narrow.
Wow. Okay. So narrow focus, needs labels, lacks common sense, struggles with transfer. What else?
Well, language is still tricky. Nuance, context, ambiguity. NLP systems can get tripped up by weird phrasing, mouse versus moose, or that bareheaded man example they don't truly understand. Image captioning can seem magical sometimes, but other times it produces complete nonsense if it misses the context. And understanding human emotion, that's a whole other frontier. People like Rana El Kalioubi are working on it for things like driver monitoring, but it's complex.
And I heard they can be fooled. Adversarial attacks.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. You can make tiny changes to images or data imperceptible to us that completely trick an AI system. Weird eyeglass patterns, fooling facial recognition, stickers on stop signs, confusing self-driving cars, altering medical scans.
That's kind of scary. It highlights they don't perceive the world like we do at all.
Exactly. It shows a fundamental vulnerability and why human oversight is still so important.
Okay, so these limitations, data, hunger, lack of common sense, narrowness, vulnerability, they point directly to the skills that aren't easily automated, right? What are
They
they?
really do. So, number one, judgment and people management. James Manyika highlights these. Making nuanced decisions, leading teams, handling complex social stuff. AI isn't there.
Makes sense. What else?
Creative problem solving, especially in messy, unstructured environments. That plumber fixing a weird leak in an old house, that needs adaptability and intuition way beyond current robots. Physical work in unpredictable settings is still very human.
Right, thinking on your feet.
Then there's human-machine collaboration. This is huge. David Ferrucci talks about a future of tight and fluent collaboration. AI gives us access to knowledge faster, so humans can do more with less specific training. Cynthia Breazeal talks about designing AI to dovetail with people, extending our skills.
So working with AI, not just being replaced by it.
That's the optimistic view, yeah. Fourth skill, continuous learning and adaptability. Daniela Russ nails this. Our whole attitude to learning needs to shift. It's not school, then work. It's lifelong learning, constantly upskilling, adapting in parallel with working.
Got to keep learning, always.
Absolutely essential. And finally, something maybe less tangible but critical. Ethical consideration and understanding social impact. Barbara Gross really emphasizes this. We need to think about unintended consequences, build systems that truly complement people, consider fairness, bias. That requires human wisdom, not just code.
Ethics, judgment, collaboration, learning, creative problem solving. Those seem like deeply human traits.
They are, and they stem directly from where current AI falls short.
Okay, so we've covered the tech, the job shifts, the skills. Let's just briefly touch on the bigger picture stuff. People talk about AGI, superintelligence. Where does that fit in?
Yeah, the long-term vision. So artificial general intelligence, AGI, AI with human-like cognitive abilities across the board. When will we get it? Predictions are all over the place. Ray Kurzweil says maybe 2029. Rodney Brooks, maybe 2200. Huge range.
So not exactly around the corner for most experts.
No. Fei-Fei Lai points out most current AI is narrow and task-specific. It's good at pattern recognition with labeled data. Oren Etzioni and others explicitly say deep learning is overhyped if you think it's a direct path to AGI or superintelligence. The current approach likely won't get us there alone.
And the worries about superintelligence taking over, the control problem.
Well, Nick Bostrom laid out those concerns. What if a super smart AI optimizes for a goal that's not aligned with ours? But many experts think that's premature. Andrew Ng compares worrying about evil killer robots now to worrying about overpopulation on Mars. Josh Tenenbaum adds, we don't even know how to give AI consciousness or a sense of self. So the idea of them wanting to take over is pretty speculative compared to more immediate risks.
Okay, so maybe park the killer robot fears for now. What about more immediate societal responsibilities?
Yes.
Bias, regulation.
Right, much more practical concerns. On regulation, Jan LeCun suggests regulating the applications of AI, self-driving cars, medical AI makes sense, maybe tweaking existing rules, but regulating the research itself, probably unnecessary.
And getting different voices involved in that discussion.
Crucial, Andrew N. emphasizes that. Need diverse perspectives, and bias is a huge topic. Fei-Fei Li notes bias often comes from the human data AI learns from. Garbage in, garbage out, basically.
So if society has biases, the AI learns them.
Yep. Though LeCun is actually optimistic here. He thinks it might be easier to reduce bias in a machine than in humans if we're careful about training data and algorithms. A potential positive? Maybe.
Interesting. But there's a power dynamic, too.
Definitely. Andrew Ng points out that powerful tech like AI can lead to a greater concentration of power in big companies, certain groups. That's a major societal challenge we need to watch.
Okay. So wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway from this deep dive on AI, automation, and jobs? It feels like the main theme isn't just jobs disappearing, but this massive shift, this evolution in what work is, what tasks are valuable, and what skills we need.
Absolutely. It underscores the unique and for now irreplaceable value of human abilities, our common sense, our reasoning, handling ambiguity, understanding emotion, making judgments, working together. And it really hammers home that need for lifelong learning. We have to keep adapting, keep acquiring new skills, be ready to work alongside these tools. It's not optional anymore.
It leaves us with a really powerful final thought, doesn't it? As AI gets more capable, the biggest question isn't just a technical one, what can we build? It becomes an ethical, a societal one. What should we build? It forces us to think about the kind of future we want. One where technology serves human goals, where we build systems that complement us, creating hopefully a better, more equitable world for everyone. That's the real challenge ahead.